What's up, SNA fans? I'm back here with episode 164 of the SNA podcast. This time it's the AEW Rampage review, which I'll say there's not much to say about AEW. It's just a typical episode, but still was entertaining to watch more professional wrestling on this lovely Friday night. And we're gonna start off with Orange Cassidy defending his international championship against Angelico because he attacked him from behind on ROH TV like from this past week, and he's the number one contender for the international championship on tonight's Rampage. We had a Hook out there with his FTW championship, and along with Danhausen, I believe was out there with his daughter because this girl had face paint just like the evil but nice daddy, which Orange Cassidy was being while he was getting announced by Justin Roberts. But yeah, this is where. But yeah, we're gonna start off the match. But yeah, we're gonna start off with the international champion on the line. We had Orange Cassidy trying to go for a headlock right onto Angelico, but this is where Angelico grabs his arm, twisting it right into the back into a hammerlock position on the Orange Cassidy. This is where Orange Cassidy tried to flip out of it. I don't know how he was doing that, even though he's used to not having limbs because he is a piece of fruit. This is where Orange Cassidy grabs on the arm, try to go swing back and go front flip, arm drag, and etc. This is where he grabs on the arm of Angelico. This is where he tried to. This is where Angelico try to roll out of it, try to go twist the arm back onto Orange Cassidy, and try to bend it and try to bend it back and try to break it. This is where Orange Cassidy rolled out of it. He's like, no, like I'm not gonna get hurt and get injured into this match. Like this is where he tried to go for a German suplex. Orange Cassidy grows out of it and grabs him into his back to belly maneuver, but he hit that that rolling flip, like a sliding flip snapmare maneuver. This is where he's like you want if you want some more, bring it. This is where Angelico try to bring it. This is where he gets hit with a crucifix roll up, which is known as the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. This is where Orange Cassidy was like, yeah, you want. Like, yeah, you want my international championship, right? Like, well, you have to go through me first. This is where Danhausen was like, he was like, I'm not gonna, and then the referee's like, make sure to play fair now, Dan. It's like, what? Like, I'm not gonna do anything unless if Serpentico over here tried to do something dirty. That's what he's telling the referee. Well, he didn't say it out loud like that, but he said it in a lower voice because we can't hear because the fans we're cheering on Orange Cassidy. We had the commentators talking in commentary like about this calling the match, and then. But anyways, this is where Orange Cassidy was like, "Oh, hands go down the pockets." This is where Angelico grabs on. He's like, "Nope, like not this time." This is where he tries to twist the arms back. This is where Orange Cassidy hits a right hand right to the jaw of Angelico. This is where he throws him right into the lower right corner of the turnbuckle. This is where he tried to go and attack and try to go for a clothesline. This is where Orange Cassidy rolls and flips back in the ring. This is where Orange runs right to the left hand arms and he runs and ducks out of the Angelico's clothesline. Ducks, I can go right through the right hand ropes. This is where he goes for try to go. It's where he tried to trip him off his feet, and Angelico tried to do the Orange Cassidy, but Orange Cassidy roll and flip over Angelico's trip chop, I should say, the chop block trip, like a frontward chop block. And he's like, come here, like if you want, come here if you want to bring me down and try to chop my limbs off. This is where Orange Cassidy tried to go for the crossbody, a running cross, but he gets intercepted right into a fireman's carry. This is where Angelico tried to spin him around, hits go for a sidewalk slam, but Orange Cassidy hits the most amazing flying head scissors I've ever seen from any professional wrestler. This is where he kips up. This is where it's like, oh, like this is where he try to go for the move that that I will never get hit because I'll be prepared and counter out of the maneuver, and that is the orange punch. Because on Fight Forever, my avatar always keeps countering out of that move on Road to the Elite. Every time I go for an orange punch, even when I have difficulties of reversing, it's a guaranteed I reverse out of the maneuver. But yeah, he tried to go for the maneuver on here, but this is where Angelico rolls out of the ring. This is where Serpentico, hang on to him. This is where he's like, give him some space, Orange. He needs to take a breather. This is where Orange Cassidy's like, all right, but you got less than 10 seconds to get back in the ring. This is where he got back in the ring by the count of 4. This is where he was about to get ready to taunt him and do the hands in the pocket. This is where Angelico goes back in the ring. This is where he tried to kick him right in the gut. This is where he did so. This is where he tried to go for. This is where he grabs onto his leg. He flips him over. This is where he hit the side. This is where he kicks him right into the hip, maybe perhaps into the backside of Orange Cassidy. But this is where Tony Schiavone corrected the other commentator, which I believe was Kevin Kelly. It was like, well, they might have the butt, which he was. He kicked him right in the butt, literally. This Orange Cassidy's like, nobody kicks Orange Cassidy's butt. And this is where Orange Cassidy's like, okay, the fist comes out of the orange pockets. And this is where he started doing twisting his arm, like if he's Popeye and Wade Barrett and even perhaps Karrion Kross, when they do the bullhammer elbow kind of maneuver. This is where he's like, you know what? I'm going to put it back in my pockets perhaps, until I really need to do it. This is where Angelico tried to go for a clothesline. He ducks out of it with his hands still in his pockets. Went right through the left side ropes. Hits a ring toss arm drag right onto Angelico. This is where Angelico tried to go for a clothesline, but he dodges into a leapfrog. Hits a Hurricane Rana. This is where Orange Cassidy still had the hands in his pocket. This is where I believe put a lot of weight on his legs, but he still did a missile drop kick right onto Angelico. Did a kip up without having his hands out. This is where he's still having leg trouble right onto his right leg, with him hitting the chop block right onto. While Angelico took advantage of this, he noticed this. He hits a chop block by hitting the leg really hard, which he had to roll out of the ring, hanging onto his right leg, which it was not looking like good news for the current international champion, which him laying onto the lower corner, the lower corner of the ringside area. This is where Serpentico was distracting Orange Cassidy. This is where he's like, I didn't do anything. I'm standing there right beside him. This is where the referee's like, you better stay away from him. This is where Angelico start taunting and provoking Danhausen, which he started throwing his gloves on his both left and right side, right into the face of Danhausen. This will piss him off so much. He let him no choice but to curse him. But when he tried to go but luckily he didn't get cursed, at least for now, because when he threw the second glove, he just calmly grabbed onto it and be a smart ass by saying, who's laughing now, Mr. Helico? This is where Orange Cassidy was still hanging on to his leg. I believe I said right leg, but I think it's his left leg more But this is where Angelico stepped onto the left leg of Orange Cassidy. This is where Angelico Irish whips Orange Cassidy back onto the ring. This is where he was still targeting that leg by stomping on it. If he was doing the Orton stomp, if he's cosplaying as the Viper himself after watching Raw tonight. This is where he grabs onto that bad leg, the left leg, and he bend it and put his I believe his right leg backwards, right to that leg, tied up with his right with Orange Cassidy's right leg. It looked like doing a reverse sharpshooter. Turning Orange Cassidy into a human pretzel in the process. This is where it looked like he was doing an educator, like something that that's going to perhaps make Adam Copeland envy in the Helico, like perhaps, and add his list of his envy victims, I should say. This where, but he got that locked in while he put his leg, put his left leg onto the Orange Cassidy's right arm, putting it tying that together, and had it right behind his back of Orange Cassidy's head. This is where Orange Cassidy tried to get out of this, try to go for the small package. Yeah. This is where he tried to go for the small package. This is where Angelico flips out of it. This is where he put his leg right onto his shoulders, with his shoulders down, but only got a 2.5 perhaps. And what else happens? And then this is where Angelico is getting struck by Orange Cassidy until Orange Cassidy picks him up, hits him with the beach break, which we thought he would get the win because after all, that is his finishing maneuver. But unfortunately, this is where he was Orange Cassidy was too much in pain with his body, to the point that he didn't have enough strength to go right on top of Angelico with both of his shoulders are down. So he rolled back and forth trying to get back up. This is where Angelico landed right into the lower right corner of the turnbuckle, I should say, team of the turnbuckle. This is where Orange Cassidy took off the elbow pad, and was getting ready to hit the maneuver that he cannot hit Super Ninja Austin with, and that is the Orange Punch. This is where he tried to go for the move, but this is where Serpentico started grabbing onto Orange Cassidy's leg. This is where Orange Cassidy let go of my leg. He pushed him with his left leg when he was grabbing onto his right leg. This is where he tried to go for the Orange Punch, but he gets intercepted with a pump bicycle kick right into the face out of nowhere. This is where Angelico tried to go for a pin. This is where Serpentico overconfidently told him they finish him off with that running striking maneuver, while Orange Cassidy was down. Some might say it would probably be a smart idea to make sure he's down, but at the same time, someone that has logic, they would see Danhausen into the right side, and this is where he trips over Angelico, I believe. Danhausen trips over him face first right onto the canvas. This is where Danhausen's like, I didn't have anything to do with it. And this is where Danhausen was like, he was playing dumb. This is where he went right on the top of the apron. He was like, if Serpentico here wants a piece of me, I'm glad I have a piece of me of my curses. This is where he's like, come on, try to jump Froggy. This is where Serpentico tries to go for a spear right on the outside. This is where he dodges him by a second, like if he was a bullfighter with a red sheet that's taunting the bull by pointing it in his face, and then he's like Taro, ole, and then he roll out of the ring. Trying to taking out the trash. This is where Danhausen did the cursing point, getting ready to do so. He's like, you're about to get cursed. And this is where he pointed at him. He got cursed by Angelico. Angelico got cursed by Danhausen. And tell me, did Angelico got cursed and then he lost the match? Let's just say, all I can say, the curse works because he got cursed. This is where Orange Cassidy goes for a surprise roll-up, even though that didn't give him the cover. But this is where Angelico kicked out of the move, pushing Orange Cassidy in the process when he got covered, and he landed right on face to face to Danhausen, which he hit it right on Danhausen. He fell right off the right hand corner of the apron, which is the hardest part of the ring. And this is where he landed right onto Serpentico. This is where Angelico hits a big insecurity kick. This is where he tried to go for that leg lock that looked like his version of it, the Educator, but back a little backwards. Like he spit, like where he had the like before he was in forward, he went back by grabbing onto his leg, tied on his right leg, spin it around, bending it like if it's in a reversed figure four leg lock, like with like if it's a reverse figure four leg lock and a ankle lock, like a hybrid of both, if you know what I mean, if you catch my drift. This is where he got locked in. This is where Serpentico had the camel clutch locked in on Danhausen. Danhausen's like, even though I'm not in the match, but I will never surrender or tap out. Like, no. And this is where Orange Cassidy's like, no, like I gotta get out of it. This is where Orange Cassidy was like, yo, like I'll never surrender. This is where Orange Cassidy was like, no, I'm not tapping. Like, no. And this is where Angelico still had him into the figure four position. This is where Orange Cassidy's like, no, I'm not surrendering. This is where he tried to grab on two pockets. This is where he started crawling like right onto the right hand corner. Like this is where Danhausen flips out of the camel clutch, looking like some two nerdy grown men that's dressed up for Comic-Con into some kind of a comedic cartoon, like fighting in a battle, like if they're playing heroes and villains, like for a Comic-Con event, like for the over enthusiastic nerds and for the event, of course. But this is where he flips. This is where Danhausen pulls onto the ropes for Orange Cassidy to hang on, which it worked. The referee did anything about it because it's not like he's touching the competitors inside the ring. This is where Serpentico flips him over and slams him right in the right corner ringside area. This is where Angelico was trying to distract the referee so he won't know exactly what his best friend Serpentico was about to do. And I was trying to hit a strike right into the face of Orange Cassidy. But luckily, Danhausen hits the cursing blow right into the family jewels, which we won't see any family around. Like in Serpentico's personal life. Well, that's only if he doesn't have a wife and any kids at this time. But he punched him right down there, which we never see him start a family if he has a wife, if he don't have any kids already. This is where he started grabbing. He fell back, and this is where the curse. Like I said before, the curse worked because Orange Cassidy got back up. Like he was very lucky. This is where Angelico tried to grab onto the leg. This is where Orange Cassidy grabbed onto the ropes. When he was grabbing onto his right leg, he bounced forward and back, slides down, flipping over, front flipping over Angelico into the wheelbarrow surprise roll up, like which is still known as the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. This is where whoever counted to one, whoever counted to two, nearly got three, but only got 2.99. Until Orange Cassidy hits the maneuver that he would never hit on Super Ninja Austin, which is the Orange Punch finally, which is a guarantee because first attempt wasn't a good blow, but he did a knockout blow onto Angelico and got the 1, 2, 3. Like which that was great because he not only just win the match in a normal AEW Rampage episode, but he did so by retaining his international championship in the process, which that's something that he's definitely good at most of the times. But yeah, he celebrated with Danhausen, and it looks like they're going to be celebrating at a Christmas party. Perhaps Danhausen could go to the Grinch's Christmas party and be the personal clown that the Grinch hired. Well, I'm just kidding about that. Like, I don't know how is he even going to get to the Whoville universe if it don't even exist in our world. So and even in the wrestling world. So well, perish that thought. But perhaps they're going to be at a Christmas party with their other wrestling friends, especially the best friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, and perhaps Hook and Rocky Romero. But yeah, what do you thought about this match? Y'all let me know down in the comments below. I think it was very hilariously entertaining, like something that it needs in wrestling. And I'll say the second match of the night, but also for being a fact that it's the international championship was on the line, but also of the goofy wrestling, which this gets the goofy wrestling of the night, like perhaps, yeah. Because this it gave what it needed, and that is goofy wrestling for life. And we're gonna move on to the next wrestling match, which is this African female veteran like that served in the army, not that long ago, taking on Abaddon. I forget her name, but she started hitting striking right hands onto Abaddon. But this is where Abaddon turned around, and this is where she looked like if she's a zombie now, which I think that's what the whole gimmick is. She was a bloody zombie, now she's a molded zombie. Like she to the point that her hair turned green from red to green, I should say. This is where she tried to go for a clothesline. This is where there's an enhancement talent female hitting right hands right to the face of Abaddon, hitting face first right onto Abaddon. This is where Abaddon turned around. This is where she started hitting chops right to the chest. This is where Abaddon started laughing every time she started chopping. This is where she screamed like, "I want more!" This is where she started hitting chops every time she do it. It's like she don't even phase it. She just feel a ticklish feeling. So she, this is where but she was still beating down Abaddon. I gotta admit, this is the first time I ever seen an enhancement talent from AEW could stand long into a ring with an AEW wrestler. This is where she started grabbing on to her legs. This is where she This is where she started stretching the arms of Abaddon. It looked like she was nearly about to do the splits. This is where Abaddon started biting the back of her leg right in the middle of the ring, which I think that was very inappropriate. And regardless, even if they weren't fighting, if you know what I mean, but enough of the inappropriate adult humor, I should say. Back to the match. This is where she hits a sliding kick, but Abaddon kicks back, get back up by sitting up like if she was Kane or The Undertaker. This is where she tried to go for the pin, but this is where she kicks out. This is where she hits a boot right into the face. This is where she rolls back in the ring, but she And it also was noted that this enhancement talent woman was used to play rugby. That's also this is the third ever wrestler I heard. I heard that a wrestler. This is the third ever wrestler I've heard that they transitioned from rugby to professional wrestling, next to the likes of Sheamus and Ridge Holland, and even my brother played rugby in our local college team. Which I'm gonna describe. I can't name the name. What's the specific college? This college, this city and state and the other things and the name of the college, because it's a very famous college campus. But I'm gonna say he played for them for a good year until he kind of stopped because he has some other business to take care of, outside of sports, and that is worrying about other things about his life, for him and his family, of course. But enough. We're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to continue talking about this enhancement talent being impressive in this match against Abaddon, and she was a rugby player herself, in the female leagues, in overseas, of course. This is where what's her name? This girl, I forget her name. She used to been in the army as well. And what a funny coincidence that they have her wrestle Abaddon at the same night, or pre-taped, in the same night that it airs on TNT. The same night, an hour after SmackDown went off the air, or SmackDown that already been off the air, I should say. This is where Abaddon, this is where she Irish whips. But anyway, she Irish whips Abaddon in the upper left-hand corner. This is where she kicks her right into the face. This is where Abaddon goes right on and grabs onto this girl. This is where she starts. This is where she stomp her right in her right leg, right onto her shoulders. This is where Abaddon walked on the other side, turned around. This is where she started looking at Aubrey Edwards. Aubrey Edwards like, I'm not. I don't have anything to do with this. I'm just doing my job as the referee. So don't shoot on to the official that's trying to call off the match. Like I don't have no beef with you. That's what she was like. Like even if I do, I would be selling this in the ring right now. This is where Abaddon grabs onto this girl and start hitting a single axe handle right onto the back. That's when he starts shaking her head like, no. Like I'm not finished with her yet. This is where this girl hits a striking right hand right into the midsection of Abaddon. This is where Abaddon hits a knee right to her face. This is where Abaddon hits an axe handle right into the back. Like hitting repeatedly, start rubbing her face right, and she started screaming like maniacally. This is where she was hanging on to, having her hanging onto the right hand ropes, like the left hand ropes, and this is where she started like, I'm gonna take your soul. Like, well, she didn't say that, but she promised her she's gonna beat her down and make an example from anybody that wants to cross her. But this is where she was not leaving, gonna go down without a fight. She hits a jawbreaker right onto Abaddon. This is where she nearly had her by hitting her finishing maneuver when she got into the lower right corner. This is where she tried to go. This is where she tried to hit this lariat out of nowhere. This is where no one was home, like Abaddon's home. This is where she because she ducked out of the way, dodged, hits a super kick out of nowhere. This is where she hits a forward roundhouse kick afterwards. This is where she had a right on her knee. This is where she hits that side knee strike right in the side of the head of his enhancement. And she hits the flag down, like with her leg right on the back of her head, like she did to who it was. It was who was it? It was I forget who it was, but she hits the like a DDT with the leg on the back of the head of her opponent, like something that Alicia Fox used to do, which used to be her signature move in her time in WWE. But yeah, she did that maneuver onto this girl and got the 1, 2, 3. This is where before he had a chance to celebrate it. This is where she went face to face with Julia Hart, saying like similar scenario from last Saturday at Collision when the lights went out. Like if Julia Hart was a female version of the Undertaker. And number one thing that me and my mom noticed about her, she's taller than she's more taller than we expect her to be. Like, we know that she's not that tall, but we didn't know she was like tall enough to be like taller than Abaddon. Like, she's like tall enough to be like at least 5.5 feet, like, or 5 feet 3/4. Like, we didn't know for being tall like that, we didn't know she was that tall. But this is where we got Mercedes Martinez challenging Willow Nightingale at AEW Collision, I believe. Like, I'm saying, like, she's nothing but the same Willow Nightingale that she very first met while being in this industry. And she's like, the next time we're gonna be in the ring together is that we meet and dancing and stomping you out of my way. And then this is where Willow Nightingale's like, I know what she's in Martinez in store. Like, but how many times do you have to? But yeah, because Martinez does not appreciates Willow Nightingale being of dancing her way into her business, like when she saves her friends, like Chris Statlander, for an example. And just like, and then this is where Willow Nightingale's like, the last time I faced Mercedes Martinez inside the AEW ring was when I was had her shoulders pinned, had my shoulders pinned. Like, but at Collision, you're gonna see the better version of Willow. You have the smaller in her. But who do you think's gonna win this match, and who's gonna prove who wrong at tomorrow night's Dynamite? Not Dynamite. Tomorrow night's Collision, which there'll be part 17 and episode 100 and I'll say 166. Mwah. But anyway, this is where we had the Don Callis family's powerhouse Will Hobbs and Konosuke Takeshita taking on Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal, the team that's having a losing streak ever since they've been a duo in the tag division. This is where Powerhouse Hobbs started off with Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal. This is where he started beating down the poor 50-year-old superstar. But this is where they started trying to make Gunther envy, like the likes of Bryan Danielson and Eddie Kingston been doing from the past couple of weeks. This is where because Christopher Daniels started taking off his suspenders off. He's like, "Come on, hit me with the best you got." And this is where he started hitting chops onto him. This is where he chopped back. This is where like they're about to be added at least in the last place in the envy list, but still enough for Gunther to go to either AEW or wait for them to make it to WWE so he can beat them. I think maybe a Powerhouse Hobbs perhaps, but I don't think that Christopher Daniels is going to be into the Stanford-based promotion anytime soon. As considering he's like a mainstay legend into AEW. This is where Christopher Daniels got him in the head. Got Christopher Daniels in the head. I mean, Christopher Daniels got Powerhouse Will Hobbs in the headlock. Elbow in the back of the head of Powerhouse Hobbs, but he instantly Irish whips into the bottom corner the ropes. This is where he hits the clothesline right onto the corner ropes. This is where Powerhouse Hobbs picks up this is where he picks up Christopher Daniels, hits a body slam right onto into the canvas. This is where Powerhouse Hobbs started hitting left shoulders right onto the midsection of Christopher Daniels and a striking right hand right onto Powerhouse Hobbs. I mean, Powerhouse Hobbs to Christopher Daniels. Tags in Konosuke Takeshita. This is where he got in the ring. This is where he started getting ready to do his samurai sword sliding forearm right to the face of Christopher Daniels, going to the middle rope. This is where he's like, "Come on!" This is where he hits a mid-rope senton right onto Konosuke did the Christopher Daniels, which I felt very sorry for the poor 30-year veteran, 30-year professional wrestling veteran. Like, this is where he picks him up into a suplex. This is where Christopher Daniels grabs onto him. This is where he tries to go for a German suplex. This is where he tries to go for a striking back elbow right into the face of Christopher Daniels. This is where he ducks out of the way, hits a jawbreaker right onto Konosuke Takeshita. This is where he goes for a clothesline, but he ducks and rolls. Tags in Matt Sydal. This is where Matt Sydal hits a springboard missile dropkick, still hanging onto the ropes with his hands. This is where he starts hitting side kicks like back and forth, lefts and rights, like into the legs in the midsection, and then hits a short spinning forward roundhouse kick right into the head of the Japanese star. This is where Matt Sydal try to run right through the left side ropes. This is where Konosuke Takeshita try to go for a clothesline, but this is where he ducks out of the way, runs right through the right corner side. This is where he hits a flying head scissor, go for a flying head scissor, but this is where Konosuke Takeshita got him into the try to go for like the Friday Night Fever, I believe, taking a page out of Chris Statlander's playbook, which I don't think you would call it the Friday Night Fever. My apologies, because for the fact that it's owned by Chris Statlander. But he tried to go for a wheelbarrow maneuver. But this is where Matt Sydal rolled out of it, hits an arm drag, hits a striking super kick right in midair, right into the face of Konosuke Takeshita. This is where Matt Sydal's like, "Come on, come on." He's like, "Give me the best you got, Konosuke." This is where Konosuke grabs him, puts him right into the upper right hand corner turnbuckle, hitting back elbows and forearms right into the face of Matt Sydal. This is where This is where Powerhouse Hobbs, I believe, hits a double A spine buster. No, it was like, no, he slammed. I think it was a power slam. It was a power slam. This is where Matt Sydal tried to fight off Konosuke Takeshita as soon as he gets tagged in from Powerhouse Hobbs. But this is where Matt Sydal was trying to try to reach for Christopher Daniels. This is where he turned around, hits a striking Frankensteiner right onto Konosuke Takeshita, tags in Christopher Daniels. This is where he tried to come back. This is where he started hitting strikes onto him. This is where he went to the second rope onto the upper right-hand corner. This is where he hits a probably perhaps rarest and the most interestingest Hurricane Rana I have ever seen in professional wrestling, which hopefully I don't get added to the envy list by Bianca Belair if she has one by putting having the words in with an EST. But anyways, this is where Powerhouse Hobbs hits a clothesline right to the face. This is where he's like, "Come on, Konosuke Takeshita." This is where he hits a big boot, a haluva boot, right to the face, right onto Matt Sydal. This is where he Irish whips Christopher. This is where Powerhouse Hobbs hits a Irish whips right onto Christopher Daniels. Hits a double A spine buster right in the middle of the canvas to get the one. And this is where he got the pin and got the 1-2-3 over Christopher Daniels, making him and Matt Sydal still haven't got a win in WWE, like still beatable, if to say the least. Nothing, not to make fun of them, of course. This is where Don Callis told the commentators, like, after this win, like, perhaps we're gonna have a couple of drinks, like at the bar, at the nearest bar, like, and celebrate, like, and get ready to see what's our next move of making sure that Jericho and Kenny Omega do not be the AEW Tag Team Champions, which they didn't say. He didn't say that specifically, but he referred to that. And I would say I was thinking, like, after Kenny Omega face All You Go Ethan Page, whether if he wins or lose, I think he's after this match, after the fellow Canadian wrestler, he's gonna be focusing on his next bout, which will be for the AEW Tag Team Championships against Absolute Ricky Starks and Big Bill, which I believe they're going to probably pay off the Young Bucks to attack them and cost them the match, or they could win and we can start a program with the Young Bucks, like pretending they're going to help out against the Don Callis family, but really they're going to join them by hitting double super kicks on the face of both Jericho and Omega. But let me know what y'all think. What's y'all's about y'all's theories about what's going to happen between the Young Bucks, Don Callis family, Jericho, and Omega in the comments down below. We're going to move on to the. This is where we got a backstage interview with Top Flight and Action Andretti by Renee Paquette. This is where she's like, the last time we spoke, Pent. It's like last time, like I was in an interview with you guys, like Penta challenged you three in a trios match, like against his fellow luchador trios. This is where, and she was like, "What you standing there, guys? What you guys stand on that?" This is where Darius Martin was like, first of all, like you don't step up right in front of us and disrespect us. This is where both Darius Martin and Action Andretti was like, nope, shaking it. And this is where Action Andretti started doing this, like, nope. And it's like, second of all, what we are going to do is to accept your little 1-2-3 challenger challenge. Like, there's just two things you know about us. And then this is where, what's his name finished the sentence of Action Andretti saying, like, they're like, and nobody that you don't play with double A, and two, and this is where and then this is where Darius Martin said, and two, it's time to step up or take flight, like with Dante Martin finishing the sentence of the catchphrase of they usually do. But anyways, let's move on to the next slide, and it is. But I would say the second match of the night was definitely Brian. I mean, definitely second match of the night, Orange Cassidy defended his championship against Angelico, which was something that you would see somewhere on a Dynamite or Collision show in the mid card division, something that you should see. Like, even though we see him on Dynamite open his show like half the time, Orange Cassidy, if he's defending his international championship or not. And also, I would say the third match of the night was Powerhouse Hobbs and Konosuke Takeshita against Christopher Daniels and Matt Sydal. Even though Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniels remain defeatable, like ever since forming the duo. But yeah, we have the match of the night and the main event of the evening, which is the main event of tonight's Rampage, which was the American Dragon Bryan Danielson against Daniel Garcia, which it was the next round for finishing round 2, I believe, or something that something that's round 2. Finishing round 2 is we have Bryan Danielson before round 3 happens tomorrow, which will be Daniel Garcia against Brody King, I believe, and Claudio Castagnoli against Eddie Kingston, and Bryan Danielson against Andrade El Idolo. But tonight it was Bryan Danielson against Daniel Garcia into this classic in the Blue Leagues for finishing the second round of the Blue Leagues of the Continental Classic, with them going back and forth trying to go grapple, but they were back at it. This is where Daniel Garcia finally won the battle of the grappling and started twisting the arm of the American Dragon. American Dragon started countering out of the dancing wrestler. This is where he flips him over. This is where Daniel Garcia. That's where he flips over and hits an arm drag onto the dancing dragon slaying wrestler. This is where I believe everybody was saying yes in Spanish, like just like C, which I'm not sure if that's gonna prevent any copyrights, considering it's the same word but in a different language. But anyways, this is where they started going for an arm war. This is where Bryan Danielson was sliding down, grabbing onto the leg of Daniel Garcia. This is where he tried to swing it down, but this is where Daniel Garcia was hanging on. This is where he grabs onto the shoulder of Bryan Danielson. This is where he started hanging onto the ropes. This is where Daniel Garcia is like, you cannot bring me down, even though you were one of my idols, but you're not. This is where Bryan Danielson like, okay, like. And this is where Daniel Garcia grabbing onto to the head of Bryan Danielson, squeezing it right into the outer side of the ropes in the middle, in between the middle and the top rope of in the upper left-hand corner on near the team of the turnbuckle. This is where Aubrey was like, no, stop it. Like 1, 2, 3. Like, all right, like, and this is where Aubrey was like, all right, like, let go, Daniel. And this is where Daniel Garcia was attempting to do the dance, which I believe, I'm not sure if it's fortunate or unfortunate, but yeah, but the reason why I wasn't doing this dance tonight because he was trying to be serious and he wants to win, but it looks like those plans is yet to be executed, I should say, because after this match, but we're going to talk about that at the end. But this is where Bryan Danielson tried to go for the grapple, and he do a back to belly position. This is where he puts him on the right side of the ropes. This is where he rolls him up in the surprise roll up, but he only got a 2 even count. This is where he kicks out, where Bryan Danielson runs right through around onto the right hand corner ropes. This is where he tried to go for a spinning roundhouse kick forward, and this is where he got countered to a surprise roll up, but he only got a 1-2 ooh. This is where Bryan Danielson tried to go for a kick, but he does. This is where he hits another surprise, but it's more like a schoolboy kind of roll up. This is where Bryan Danielson tried to go for the label lock, but this is where Daniel Garcia tried to go for the Dragon Tamer right onto Bryan Danielson, but Bryan Danielson grabs onto the ropes. This is where Aubrey was like, he's out on the ropes, like there's no takebacks unless he's out of the ropes. This is where he starts stomping on him, but this is where Aubrey was like, all right, stop, like let him get back up and get a chance to get a breather and get ready to get back into this match. This is This is where Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia are grabbing onto the hand on each other. This is where they start locking their hands together on both sides, respectively, locking horns down. This is where they let go. This is where Bryan Danielson hit the sideways right roundhouse kick on his right leg onto the left side of the left leg of Daniel Garcia, messing that leg up. Perhaps it was better than pissing off the ring general of WWE, because it looked like it was either that or the knife edge chops, which I'm not sure he did it for the sake of that, because he don't care what the ring general said. Like, he had his chest meatier and redder than Gunter has ever have, so he could take anything, which I believe he probably would. This is where Bryan Danielson started hitting some left leg roundhouse kicks, or former yes kicks, right onto the right hamstring of Daniel Garcia. This is where he started continuing to hit the hamstring back on and pulverizing that left leg of Daniel Garcia, kicking it. This is where he's like, ow, no. This is where Bryan Danielson tried to put him right to the lower left corner, but he gets backfired with Daniel Garcia placing him down right into the bottom turnbuckle, starts stomping on the shoulders, hanging on the top of the ropes, like slay. And then this is where Aubrey Edwards like, come on, stop it. Like, I'm going to have to do the 5-second 1 and 2. Like, 1, 2, 3. But you had to let go. This is where he runs right to the top corner ropes and then hits a flying thunderous boot right into the face of Bryan Danielson. This is where he goes right on the top rope, like putting him right on top onto the turnbuckle on the lower left corner, turning it into the Tree of Woe, I believe. Yeah, the Tree of Woe. This is where he hits a knuckle right hand right into the head of Bryan Danielson. This is where Daniel Garcia goes hanging on down there. This is where Daniel Garcia goes for a sliding drop kick right onto the midsection. This is where he tried to go for the pin, but Aubrey Edwards counted the 1, counted the 2, but Bryan Danielson kicks out at 2.6 or 7. This is where Daniel Garcia tried to go for a suplex as soon as he get him back up. This is where Bryan Danielson counters out of it. Hits a German suplex right in the middle of the canvas, but may go to the upper left corner. This is where Bryan Danielson tried to go. And this is where Bryan Danielson was doing his striking kicks, which I don't know what to call them now. They look like frontward roundhouse kicks, but I'll say the last one is, but I'm sure about I'll say side kick. This is where Bryan Danielson started taunting what's his name, Daniel Garcia. He was like, how about you dance? How about you dance? And he started hitting the kicks right to the face of Daniel Garcia. Like, boom, boom. This is where he started kicking back and going down to the ground. This is where he started continuing to do so, hitting the kicks. This is where Daniel Garcia hit the slaps and chops right back and forth, getting back up, trying to bring down the American Dragon. American Dragon pushes him out of the way, hits a slap right across his face. This is where Daniel Garcia hits the slap back. This is where he started hitting slap fest right onto each other until Daniel Garcia hits a chop right into the chest of Bryan Danielson, hits a swinging back suplex right onto the American Dragon. This is where he tried to go for the pin. Aubrey Edwards counted 1, she counted 2, but kicks out at 2.8. And then this is where Daniel Garcia's like, why in the hell? This is where Daniel Garcia goes right on, puts him right into a powerbomb position. This is where we're about to go for the neutralizer, taking an aim at his tag, taking an aim at his former teammate, taking an aim at his teammate is BPCC teammate Claudio Castagnoli in his time as Cesaro in WWE, which I'm not sure if he still used that move, but perhaps he only does the straight jacket powerbomb, which is like an upgraded version of the move. This is where Bryan Danielson counted out the move. This is where he got him in a triangle locked in, trying to have Daniel Garcia tap out, but this wasn't working. This is where he started escaping it slowly but surely. He started punching out his way. This is where Bryan Danielson hitting right hands right into the face of right into the face of Daniel Garcia. This is where Bryan Danielson was like, hey, which we have mixed reaction, mostly cheers from Bryan Danielson. This is where it looks like he was about to hit the running knee, which if it was WWE, you would probably see him doing the yes movement chance. This is where, not chance, but the fans are doing, with them doing the yes. That's what the fans are chanting, knee, knee, knee. Something I used to chant when back in his time in WWE when he did the running, when he debuted the running knee, like months after he debuted it, like in SummerSlam, around this time of the year in 2013. I was like, knee, 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 when he does the running knee on his opponents, or when there's a brawl. I was like, knee, knee, my 11-year-old self. I'll be like, knee, 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 which he does so, which did bring back some good memories. That's where I try to go for the running knee, but this is where Daniel Garcia ducks out of the way. This is where Daniel Garcia falls flattened onto the ground. This is where he's like, really? This is the best dodge he could ever come up with? And that's like giving me an easy victory. He's like, get up, Danny. This is where he starts slapping the back of his head. This is where Daniel Garcia tricked him playing possum onto the American Dragon because he as soon as he got back up, he caught Bryan Danielson back down to the canvas with the small package, which is kind of the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. This is where Aubrey Edwards counted 1, counted 2. This is where she was this close, like 2.999 double triple 9 which minus the negative. Which is a negative 0.1 second away from being 3. But he catch Bryan Danielson back down with his legs to try to go for the Dragon Tamer, I believe. Yeah. This is where he got locked in, trying to slay the Dragon. This is where Bryan Danielson was not letting go. This is where Bryan Danielson grabs onto him. But as soon as when he went back and tried to lock it in, this is where Bryan Danielson trying to roll out, try to go for the label lock. This is where Daniel Garcia picks him up in the air, hits the sit-out pile driver right onto Bryan Danielson. This is where he goes for the pin, but this is where he was so close for the second time in a row, when he did the sit-out pile drive, he nearly got the 3, but only by an inch, at 2.999999999, which is a which minus 0.1 second of being 3. Daniel Garcia was very disappointed. This is where he's like, what I got to do now? This is where Daniel Garcia is like desperate times comes with desperate measures. I got to continue to be showing my seriousness. This is where This looks like he's about to go for the maneuver, go for this dance move. But this is where This is where Daniel Garcia was like, he's about to get his head kicked in. And then this is where the commentator was like, he's not playing around no more. This is where he booted his face right into or his head, I should say, where he shaked his head like this is where he boots him again. This is where he repeatedly starts shaking his head. And this is where Bryan Danielson's like, no, you cannot bring me down. This is where Daniel Garcia starts stomping onto his head. And he's like, stay down, stay down, stay down. And then this is where he starts stomping right onto the ground. And then this is where he started trying to squeeze his head in where his orbital bone was, where he was injured at. This is where, near his eye, this is where in his neck, he was like, ow, and he's like, he really hurted my ear, this is where Daniel Garcia was like, I even though I don't want to do this, but I got to do this dance. This is where he started finally doing the dance like this. This is where he tried to go for a running, striking, an elbow clothesline combo majig. This is where he gets intercepted with a running knee right on his face out of nowhere, intercepting Daniel Garcia. This is where he goes for the pin of the former Ring of Honor Pure Championship. This is where Bryan Danielson nearly got a 3, but he only got this close, getting Daniel Garcia with this running knee at 2.999, 99999, 9999999, double triple nines, negative a negative 0.1 from away from being number 3. This is where Bryan Danielson started grabbing onto the hands down in the middle of the canvas by grabbing onto Daniel Garcia's arm, just start stomping the absolute sugar honey iced tea, nearly caving in his head into the canvas. But when everybody's like, yay, 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 nay, nay, like, see. And this is where he tried to go for the yes lock. This is where he started hitting some single axe handles right across the face of Daniel Garcia when he tried to roll out of it. This is where he got it locked in. This is where Daniel Garcia is like, I will never surrender. I'll never tap. No, and if you're going to try to beat me by submission, you're going to have to kill me, metaphorically. This is where Daniel Garcia was trying to flip out. This is where Bryan Danielson hits a single axe handle on his right forearm right across the face of the ion to the Daniel Garcia. This is where Justin Roberts sent a reminder to both Bryan Danielson and Daniel Garcia and the fans that there's 5 minutes remaining unto the match. This is where Bryan Danielson tried to repeatedly try to go back to doing the label lock, formerly known as the yes lock, I suppose to call it. This is where he nearly fainted, but luckily for Garcia, he tried to roll out of it some. No, not luckily. What am I saying? Like, this is where Bryan Danielson tried to do his best of making him go to sleep. This is where Daniel Garcia's like, no, I will never. Before he can do anything else, try to escape, try to have the last resort of trying to escape. This is where he just fainted out. This is where IBO was like, all right, like, this kid's down, like, he's out, like, he can no longer compete. Like, he give this match to Bryan Danielson, which Bryan Danielson won by a sleeper and by knockout, which Bryan Danielson won, earning himself 3 more points 6 days after he getting his first 3 points against Eddie Kingston. And do you think he's going to score 9 points just like his one of his BPCC teammates that's on the gold leagues of the Continental Classic tournament? And what do you thought about the match? And do you think it was number 1 of the night, like your boy Super Ninja Austin did? Like your boy Super Ninja Austin think it is? Y'all let me know in the comments down below. And I would say that was the end of AEW Rampage. I would say I'll give it 3.5 stars. Even though it wasn't like a horrible show, but at the same time, it may not be the greatest show, but it was still the best show they're continuing to make. Even though some of you might say, like, why would you give it 4 then? 4 stars? Well, I would say I could see a couple of flops, but I'm not really going to talk about it on this video. But I can't say this. Like, I was like, the good matches, like, number 1 match was this. Second, Orange Cassidy against Angelico for the International Championship. And we also have what's the third match? Oh yeah, the Don Callis family's Powerhouse Hobbs and Konosuke Takeshita taking on Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniels. And I'll say, yeah. But yeah, what do y'all think? And we also have some matches, like I said, Bryan Danielson against Andrade El Idolo, Claudio Castagnoli against Eddie Kingston, the frenemies. And we also have Daniel Garcia taking on Brody King. What's your prediction on that match? Which it's going to be harsh to say, but I believe Brody King's going to win this match, and he's going to tie with Bryan Danielson, Bryan Danielson. He's going to tie with Bryan Danielson. No, he's already tied. He's tied right now, so I'll say he's going to be number 9. I'll say perhaps Bryan Danielson will beat Andrade El Idolo, so they'll be tied with 9. And then I would say Claudio will probably lose to Eddie Kingston, which he'll finally get the 3 points. like at this rate. And then we'll probably see next week. We'll have Daniel Garcia against Eddie Kingston. We'll have Bryan Danielson against Brody King, and perhaps Claudio Castagnoli against Andrade El Idolo. But what do you think? What's next? And what's y'all's prediction? Y'all let me know down in the comments below. We also have some action with Kenny Omega and All Eagle Ethan Page on that exact very same night. Who do you think is going to win that match? Which that's a very interesting match. But yeah, let me know also about that in the comments down below. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, please leave a huge thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe, click the bell notifications, the bell right beside it so you can be the first one to be notified when I upload my latest video. And speaking of uploading my next video, I also have 3 more videos I'm going to make for tomorrow, which tomorrow afternoon I'll be making my usual daily wrestling news video, which will be the Wrestling News episode 165, I believe. Yeah, 165, which will be the Wrestling News Part 61, which we're going to be talking about the wildest wrestling news stories and rumors that you SNA fans need to know. And it's going to be from the Fightful Select article, like on December 9th, 2023. And then we also have AEW Collision Review, like Part 17, Episode 166. And not to mention, we have the NXT Deadline will be Episode 167. Which will be like NXT Deadline, their pay-per-view. NXT Deadline is going to be episode 1, which we're going to be talking about what exactly went down and who won their respective matches for the NXT Championship match, and Roxanne Perez against Kiana James. And we also have Baron Corbin against Alexis King against Carmelo Hayes. And we also have the NXT Championship with Ilya Dragunov taking on Baron Corbin for the NXT Championship. We got the Men's Iron Survivor match with Trick Williams and Dijak, Josh Briggs, Tyler Bate, and even who was the other man? Oh yeah, Braun Breaker. And then on the women's side, we have Tiffany Stratton, Kalani Jordan, Fallon Henley, and Lash Legend and Blair Davenport. And who do you think is going to win those matches, all of them respectively? And then are we going to see a reveal who attacked Trick Williams by this Saturday? And did Carmelo Hayes have anything to do with it, or he's the number one? He's the guy that did it on his own, like all along, even without Alexis King's help, or did he pay it off of Alexis King, or Alexis King did it all on his own? We're going to find out all of that tomorrow night, which I think is possibly going to cost Trick Williams to becoming the Iron Survivor winner and earning him an NXT Championship match. But yeah, let me know all about your opinions in the comments down below, and stay tuned till then. And I've been your host, Super Ninja Austin, on this 164th episode of the SNA podcast, AEW Rampage, part 17. And I hope you all have a great Friday night, the rest of your night, I should say. And I'll see you all tomorrow afternoon. Until we meet again, Super Ninja Austin, the Assassin, out. Bye-bye, my SNA fans. Good night. Hopefully y'all have a great night rest. And y'all stay tuned. Bye-bye.